Low Carbon West Oxford started out as a community group, and it was formed after we were flooded in the summer of 2007. Our main road through West Oxford was actually possible to canoe on it, and some houses were flooded, and people started thinking climate change is actually happening and we must do something about it. We knew we wanted to develop renewable energy. And we knew we wanted a range of projects. The question was how to fund that. And when we started, there were no feed-in tariffs, and in fact they weren't even on the horizon. So we thought, could we combine the grants that were already available with raising money from the community through shares or whatever it would be, to make enough money to build the renewables, and then get an income from selling the electricity and the renewables obligation certificates. We looked at our area, our geographic area, and we said, what natural resources have we got? We've got lots and lots of big roofs in our area. We chose solar to start off with because it's the easiest technology by far to get from a standing start to installation. If you've got the funding available, you can do that within about 6 months.
The Tamar Valley contacted us and said, would we like to investigate the possibility of using a renewable heat source in common. At that time, our own system of heating, our storage heaters, were very worn out, and actually it was beginning to lead to deterioration of the building. The walls were becoming damp and mouldy, and so this was a very good opportunity for us to actually renew our system, as well as at the same time as linking with the community organisations either side of us and actually adopting a very ethical source of energy for heating the building. The suggested scheme was for a wood chip boiler to be situated in the school, heating hot water, which would then be pumped underground in pipes through to the church and then onwards to the parish hall. Regrettably, the parish hall withdrew from the scheme at an early stage, leaving the school and the church to work together, which we did on detailed planning for a couple of years, until on the eve of the pipework being laid, regrettably the school pulled out. That left the church needing to face its own heating future, and we had, I remember, an agonising council meeting where we had to decide, do we go for an oil-fired boiler to pump hot water into the radiator system that we got into the church, or do we go for a renewable source of energy?
The council had very courageously adopted a biomass implementation policy in June of 2004. At that point in time, they had never installed a biomass scheme. This was going to be the first one. When you're dealing with quite large installations as these are, then the alternative energy sources, like heat pumps and things like that, really aren't practical in this scale. This scale of things has to be dealt with by a fairly hefty plant.
This block had 2 coal-fired boilers in it. Buckley House had 2 coal-fired boilers in it. They'd come to the end of the useful life. Repairs, spares were no longer available from that boiler manufacturer. We did a Decent Homes programme on the block of flats, which was a £1.8 million investment to kitchens, bathrooms, the dwellings, and we also did the boiler plant. It seemed logical at the time that we went with biomass, as it was an emerging technology.
We worked together as a village to come up with some ideas through village meetings, and as a group we decided to move forward with the idea of purchasing a wind turbine to generate money to pay back the investors and to pay for village initiatives to reduce carbon emissions. We chose wind because it was the best value for money. For the money spent and the income generated, it was the most efficient.
We actually think it's a crucially important thing that we do something about the ridiculous consumption of energy in this country, of non-sustainable energy that is. We felt that this was an excellent combination. Community, environment, things went really well together.
Very early on we decided, and after consultation with everybody, what we wanted to do was provide a real asset, and our strapline for all our funding and everything we were doing was building an asset for our children. We were had always intended to be a very energy efficient building, and we put in a lot of insulation, employed specialist architects, Gale and Snowden, to help us with that. And the building at the time was an environmentally friendly building and almost a leading environmental building in the country. At that time, we'd thought about the renewables, but we didn't think the technology was good enough or affordable enough to include. By 2007, unfortunately, just before the oil price started to go through the roof, we thought about it, decided what we wanted to do, and obtained some grant funding to put in a complete package of renewables, which included a ground source heat pump. How can we save money? And we could save money by saving energy. And if we save energy, we save carbon.